Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. We're so glad you could be here for this webinar, Play with Purpose, and we're doing it with our friends at the Canadian Children's Literacy Foundation. I'm going to start it off by turning it over to my colleague Suzanne, who's going to do a bit of an opening, and then I'll chat with you again, and then we're going to turn it over to our partners. So go ahead, Suzanne. Good evening. How are you?
Thank you, Robin. I'm doing well and happy to see everybody here with us tonight. I'm just going to go over and we're going right into our land acknowledgement because we're going to get started bright. Well, I guess it's not bright and early, but I guess late and late and late.
Late and on
So
time.
that's right, late and on time. So as we gather together on this virtual platform, we acknowledge that we are each joining from the ancestral or unceded lands of Inuit, Métis, and First Nations peoples. The Canadian Child Care Federation's office is located on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. We honor their enduring connection to the land, waters, and culture, and we recognize all Indigenous peoples who have lived on and cared for these lands since time immemorial, those who live here now and the 7 generations to come. We recognize the harms and injustices of the past and the ongoing impacts of colonization. We affirm our commitment to truth, reconciliation, and meaningful collaboration with Indigenous communities. As Indigenous peoples have always done, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and contributions of all who call it home. We invite you to take a moment of reflection, and if you feel comfortable, you can share the name of the Indigenous lands you are joining from. Let us honor the many peoples and places across these lands and consider the tangible steps each of us can take to move forward in a spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. So the Canadian Child, oh, Robin, would you like to take this part?
Sure. Thank you. The Canadian Child Care Federation, pardon me, is an organization made up of a number of affiliates from across Canada. And you can see on this graphic we have in front of you, there's actually 9 affiliates that are belonging to the Canadian Child Care Federation. So you may recognize some of those names, and one of them may be the affiliate you belong to in your own province or territory. And because you belong to them, you belong to us too. We are them and they are us. So we're all together as a group. And that's what makes us stronger, because through our affiliates, we gain voices from all across Canada, from coast to coast to coast, and find out what's going on in early learning in your part of the country. And we're actually we also now newly have another one up north. So we'll soon be adding our affiliate that's from the north, but I'll save that for the next webinar so you can see that. But that's very exciting news for us too. I did want, oh, sorry, you want to go to the next slide, Suzanne?
No, go ahead. Carry on.
I think before I forget, I did want to mention about certificates. That's what I usually do in my intro, because people usually ask. Certificates will be sent out within 48 hours of the webinar, and you will have to have had attended at least 45 minutes of the webinar in order to receive your professional development certificate. And I know sometimes people ask us, but you'll have to check in with your own regulatory body to see if the PD hour for this webinar counts as part of your PD work in your province and territory, because it differs across the country. So we don't have that information at our offices. You'll have to check in with that yourself to ensure that it counts. I think that was it for logistics. Do you have anything to add, Suzanne?
I do. I've got one more slide, Robin.
Okay, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. So we have asked a question on our Facebook group. And the question we asked is, what is one playful way that you love to spark conversation or new words with your children? So if you use the QR code, you can access our Facebook group, and hopefully you'll join us and just, contribute your answer. And maybe after the webinar, go back and see what people are saying. We'd love to hear from you. And that is the end of our intro slides. And now I would like to turn it over to Liz Adesano and Zoe Kiefer. Thank you very much, both of you, for being here. And the stage is yours.
Thanks, Suzanne. So while Liz is just pulling up a PowerPoint there, but we're so excited to be here. Well, here in our homes, but also with all 422 of you, which is really, really exciting. So Liz and I are from the Canadian Children's Literacy Foundation, and we are a national charity dedicated to everything early literacy, so 0 to 5. We support with programs, with training, with direct to parent resources, but our whole goal is to get children set up so that they can reach their full potential. So my name's Zoe. I'm a program manager at CCLF, and I have a background in adult education, and I've been doing community programs for a long time. I also am very much in the early childhood phase. I have an 18-month-old and a 4-year-old who are. It's actually great. I'm skipping bedtime right now, so thank you so much for all of you for picking this time because I don't have to deal with bedtime. So they're outside banging on the door. Hopefully they won't join. But again, really excited to learn from you all and hear some of your thoughts and to share what we have. And I'll pass it over to Liz to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name's Liz. I have a PhD in developmental psychology. I also completed a postdoc in the School of Public Health Sciences at the University of Waterloo. And like Zoe said, I'm just really looking forward into diving into today's topic with all of you this evening.
Okay. So thank you, Suzanne, for opening us up so nicely with the land acknowledgement. And we also just want to acknowledge a couple things. Number one, I can share where I'm calling from. I'm calling from Toronto, which is on Treaty 13 territory. This is where CCLF is based as well as in Toronto. And so I just want to acknowledge the nations that call this land home, the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. So we're grateful for their stewardship. And I also want to land in our bodies as well. So this, I just want to take a chance to just take a big deep breath all together. I know it's been a long day for everybody. And so just humor me wherever you are. If you're folding laundry, if you're in your bedroom, if you're maybe somewhere else, we'll take a big deep breath in for 4 and then out for 6 to really ground ourselves here and show up. So are we ready? In for 1, 2, 3, 4, and out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lots of thumbs up. We love breathing here. I love it. Yeah, so again, really grateful that you're sharing your day with us because I know it's been a long one. So let's share what we're going to get into today. We're going to cover what early literacy is. Then we're going to introduce you to what we call the Big Five, which are the 5. I was going to say 3. 5 is in the. Yeah, wow, it's late here too. The 5 biggest and most important skills that children need to learn before they learn how to read. And then we'll give you some practical strategies to build in those Big 5 I shared during play. And then we'll recap and share the last messages with you. So pause and ponder. We're going to think about some things that we do in our practice. But before we do that, no, actually, let's just go ahead with this one. Are we going to get, Carmen was wondering if we're going to receive a copy of the slides. And yes, you'll get some resources back from us for sure. Thanks, Carmen. So you can take these questions, and if you have a paper and a pencil or a pen, you can write them down. You could also share them in the question box too if you want. Share them with us. I believe that only we can see the things that you share. So if you feel like doing that, we'd love to hear it. But the first question I want you folks to think about is, how do you help children learn and use language in your day-to-day work? So what you're doing now, imagine yourself, we just took a deep breath to calm ourselves, and now I'm asking you to put yourselves back in the chaos of the early years classroom. But think about how you help children learn and use language in your day-to-day work. So we'll take a few moments to think about that. Okay, so our second question. What are some playful ways you currently introduce sounds and letters in your daily routines? Oh, Andrea, thanks for that question. So we don't need your answers in the question box. You can just have this be like an individual reflection on your own. We'll have some opportunities to share some more stuff later on. And we're going to revisit these answers you have at the end of the session to see if anything's changed. Thanks for that, Andrea. And then our third question, when children are playing with toys, how do you talk about them? Thanks, everybody. And as I said, keep those reflections handy and we'll revisit later after we get through some more content, and I'll pass it over to Liz.
Thanks, Zoe. So now we're going to discuss literacy and how it's represented in those earliest years of a child's life. So when people hear that term early literacy, they might be wondering if it's about explicitly teaching young children how to read. And as all of us here know, that's certainly not the case. Early literacy actually refers to the foundational skills children learn before learning how to read. So while early schooling focuses on teaching children how to read, as they progress, they're going to need to read in order to understand and also critically think about all the other information that they're exposed to. So that's really why having that solid foundation in early literacy is so important. It really sets that stage for all future learning. And you, as early years educators, can really help babies and young children develop those skills and support their brain development by engaging in really loving interactions and creating a language rich environment through singing, talking, reading, and sharing stories. So early literacy activities like singing, talking, reading, and sharing stories can help children develop the skills which are foundational for learning to read. So those skills include things like using words to describe things and to tell stories, learning the connection between the words we actually say and the words we can see and read on a page, understanding how books work, so how to turn pages, which way's up, learning that in languages like English and French, we read left to right, up to down, but that can be different in other languages. And in the older years, it also includes recognizing letters and knowing that they make the sounds that form words. So those early literacy skills are foundational for children to arrive to school ready to learn. And there's been a lot of research on how experiences in the early years can have a significant impact later on in a child's life. So research has actually shown that a larger vocabulary size at age 2 leads to a better literacy achievement all the way in middle school. When children are read to every day, they hear 1.4 million words by the age of 5. And more verbal interactions at the age of 5 leads to better cognitive skills 10 years later. So again, what you are all doing in your learning environments has a real impact on the children for essentially the rest of their lives. So you all as early years educators play a really critical role in supporting young children's literacy development. And you're probably doing a lot of the things that contribute to children's language and literacy development already in your practice. But what we're going to do this evening is just go over some really explicit ways that you can continue to support this. And to do this, and it all aligns on how children best learn. And the goal here is to create learning opportunities for children that just give them that best possible future. And all of what that really starts with early literacy. So you're laying that foundation for them. So like Zoe said, we're going to focus on the 5 key areas that are essential for young children's language and literacy growth, and she's going to take us through them now.
Thank you, Liz. So I promised you we'd get into the big 5, and I know we're just really excited to hear what they are, and I'm going to tell you what they are. So great. So the first of the big 5 is talking and communicating. The second is understanding. The third is print concepts, or seeing how print works. Fourth is sounds and letters. And the fifth is early writing. So we're going to talk about these during most of our time today. And so let's dive into more detail about what each one entails. So with talking and communicating, this is all about conversations. So talking with others, sharing ideas, and learning new words. Next is understanding. And the way I like to think about this is that we can sound out a word without knowing what it actually means. So understanding is all about knowing what's happening, who we're talking about, why it matters, and what words actually mean. And the next one is knowing how print works, or print concepts, as we say. So this is all about knowing that the random lines that kids see on menus and books going each way, it's not just random lines, that print conveys meaning. And the last one, or the fourth one, sorry, sounds and letters. This involves hearing the sounds that are in words and connecting them to the letters. So think rhyming games, clapping out syllables, or playing with letter sounds in fun ways. And lastly, we've got early writing. So before we can write an entire novel, if the kids in your classrooms were going to become authors, they need to grasp a pencil, they need to scribble, they need to move the pencil from one side of the page to the other. So these are all really, really important foundational skills. I want to note that these are not things that children need to master before they show up to kindergarten. On the other hand, on the flip side, they need to be able to practice them, to be exposed to them. And that's what we're trying to do with play. So we've talked about the big 5 in theory, but you're probably wondering what this actually looks like in your learning spaces. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's likely already happening in your spaces. So let's take an example of a child pretending to be at the grocery store or cooking a meal. That's a perfect moment to introduce new vocabulary and to talk about what you're doing. I'm making soup. I'm picking up milk. Lots of different words can be introduced here. Cashier, receipt, checkout. You can also describe what they're doing, like you see here. And for understanding, you can ask open-ended questions. So if a child is cooking, you might ask them, what should we do next? What do you smell in your kitchen? What do you see in the grocery store? That sort of thing. To support print concepts, point to the words on the recipe card or the labels on the food items in their kitchen. For sounds and letters, you can ask kids to show you the ingredients that start with a certain letter. You could say bread, basket, banana. Or when they're cooking, you might say soup starts with a S sound. Can you hear it? As you see in the picture there. And lastly, for early writing, give them markers and paper so that they can create their own grocery list, even if it's just scribbles. Scribbles is an example of early writing. And now I'll pass it over to Liz, who will go into more detail about how you can support these skills.
So I just want everyone here to think about their day-to-day activities in your learning environments. So things like gathering time, snack time, transitions, or even diaper changes. So these moments may seem routine, but they're actually full of potential for building children's language and literacy skills. So what we'd like to do today is highlight a few strategies that can help you build the Big Five. And these strategies aren't about adding more to your plate. They're about making the most of what you're already doing. So together, we're going to explore how these small tweaks, like the words we use or the questions we ask, can make a big impact on children's language and literacy growth. So playtime in your learning environments isn't just a chance for children to play while you're taking a step back. As educators, you're already doing so much more. You're observing, you're listening, and you're also thinking critically about how to support each child's learning and development. You're paying attention to what interests every child, how they engage with others, and even what skills they're practicing or maybe still developing. And during these moments, you're identifying opportunities to build on their language and their literacy skills in really meaningful ways. And play is also a time to notice who might need more support, whether it's providing support for a child who's hesitant to participate, they're just a little shy, or maybe you're creating opportunities for a quieter child to express themselves. So when you plan and guide play on purpose, you're helping kids grow in all five parts of language and reading that Zoe talked about. So we're going to take a closer look on how play supports children's development in different areas. So through play, children engage in communication and storytelling, which helps expand their vocabulary and also understanding of how language works in different situations. Play also gives children a chance to explore concepts like counting, measurement, and prediction, all of which deepens their understanding of basic math and science ideas. Play teaches children how to communicate, cooperate, take turns, helping to build those really important life skills and peer relationships. And play also provides an opportunity for children to recognize and express different emotions. So today our focus is going to be on how to turn everyday moments into rich opportunities to build children's language and literacy skills through play. So in this workshop, we're going to explore two powerful ways to do this. First, we're going to look at how to use playful routines and interactions to build children's awareness of sounds and early sound letter connections, skills that are really essential for learning how to read. And then we're going to explore on how to support children in using fuller sentences during play by using a strategy called toy talk. So now we're going to pass it over to Zoe, who's going to unpack that first strategy. Zoe, you're muted.
Thank you, Liz, for the mute reminder and for passing it over to me. So before children can learn how to read, they need to hear and play with the sounds and language. And these skills are happening long before they even see a letter. So let's look more closely at why sound awareness is important. So it's really one of the very first building blocks for reading. And even before kids start kindergarten, we can give them a head start by helping them notice sounds that they hear and then connecting those sounds to the letters they'll later see. And this happens through activities that build phonological awareness, alphabet knowledge, and those early sound letter connections. And the research shows that children who develop these skills early are much more likely to grow into confident, successful readers later on. So I said the word phonological awareness, and maybe some of you didn't love that word because it's long and sounds complicated, and I agree. But phonological awareness is what we call an umbrella term. So it covers a whole group of related skills. And in this case, it means being able to hear and work with the sounds in spoken language. So this, as I said, lots of different skills here, but earlier skills like hearing if two words rhyme, like hat and cat, or more advanced ones like identifying the first sound of a word, the d in dog, the middle sound, the the a in cat, forgot how to say cat for a second, and the last sound, the t in cat. So the goal here is to help children tune in to how language works because that's a key step towards learning how to read. So now maybe you're a little less frightened about the word phonological awareness, I hope. But how do we help children build these skills in the classroom? And the good news is it can be really fun and playful. So here are some activities you can try. So you can listen for sounds in words by singing rhyming songs, especially one that includes a child's name. That can be really engaging. You can clap out syllables together or even hop the number of syllables in a word or sentence. I would find it difficult to hop on one leg just generally, but I'm sure some of you are good at it. And also, one of our favorites is games. A game like I hear with my little ear instead of I spy with my little eye. Something that starts with the B sound during playtime. Those are always a hit. So all of these are simple, playful ways to explore the sounds of spoken language. And you're likely already doing these in your day-to-day work. Okay, so I talked about the alphabet a little bit. And so before children can start matching letters to sounds, they do need to be able to hear these sounds clearly. And that's another really important foundation. So when we talk about alphabet knowledge, we mean we want to help children understand that letters represent sounds in a systemic, organized way. And we can make this learning really playful. So for example, using letter toys, wooden blocks, or puzzles, or even just labeling their artwork or cubbies with their names and pointing out the letters. Another great strategy is pairing letters with pictures like Z or Z. I don't know who likes which one, to mean zipper, or O is for octopus, so it sticks in like a more meaningful way. And while children don't fully learn the relationship between sounds and letters until a little later on, we can gently introduce the idea. And using their names is one of the most powerful ways, like I mentioned before, like saying your name is Sam and S says S. So all of these small examples can help children build towards understanding the alphabet in a way that feels natural and fun. Okay, so it's a lot of information. Before we kind of talk a little bit more about concrete examples, I wanted to just everyone to reflect on what they're already doing in this area of the Big Five is. And my guess is that you're probably supporting these skills more often than you realize. So feel free to jot down some thoughts to these questions. And we haven't used the question feature here too much. So I'd love to hear from you directly if you folks are up for it. So our first question is, how do you currently support children's sound awareness? So some of and you can use the little question box. And so I talked a little bit about rhyming, emphasizing parts of the word. I hear with my little ear. Any other things that we do? I think somebody's saying that they have signs around. Music, Willoughby Wallaby Woo. Ugh, love that one. Jolly Phonics. Oh my God, I want to know everything about that. This is great. Phonics ASL, that's great. Songs and rhythm, a lot of music coming up here. Yeah, names on all the toy buckets. That's great. Yeah, find a block, B block by cleaning up. I think anything to get them excited about cleaning up is probably something we love. Yeah, posting children's names. I spy. Oh, I just want to keep reading these because I'm just loving it. This is really great, everybody. Thank you for sharing. I just can't, I'm so distracted by all these amazing ideas. But I'll move on to the next question. So that's, what's one way you could add a simple sound or letter game into playtime? So any sort of something I mentioned was name acrostics. I don't know what that is, but I would love to hear more. Yeah, allowing them to take turns. That's great. Letter hunt. Old MacDonald with the farm animals. Raffi has a great song, Old MacDonald Had a Band. I love that one too. Syllable clapping. Yeah, that's a really good one. Thanks, Maria. Down by the Bay, a classic. Old MacDonald Has a Zoo. Yep. Yeah, these are great ideas. A lot of scavenger hunts coming up here too. Letter tracing on sand or slime. Singing bingo in their names. That's great because we talked a lot about how using names can be really exciting for kids. Banana Fana. This is great. I love this. Things I've never heard before that I'll try with my kids too. Ooh, puppet play. Can you find a toy that starts with an S? Wow, this is all really great. I just feel so much knowledge in the room here. And I hope that what we're getting from this is that you're doing a lot of this already. And I hope that it's feeling like, oh, giving you an extra little boost to keep doing it because now knowing that it's so important and it's connected to so many different things. Our last question, can you share any materials that you use often that's going to help with this sound awareness? So, I saw some stuff about slime and sand. Anything in your classroom that you use over and over again? Flashcards, whiteboards, letter magnets, Play-Doh blocks, magnet letters. Oh my gosh. Uh, Oh my God, amazing. We have an applesauce container and a skewered hot glue gun, and we have letters that the children can place. Like, this is so great. You don't need anything too expensive. I love that. Play-Doh, magazines, magnets, sensory bins. I love all of this. This is great. I can't even keep up. Oh my goodness. Sticks and rocks. Oh, I love that. Sticks and rocks creating letters in nature. That's really lovely. Like, you don't need all these fancy toys. You can try doing it with things that you see in nature. Plasticine. Okay. I just want to keep reading, but I got to cut it off here. Thank you so much. That was really, really wonderful to read all these things. Okay, so we've heard a lot of really rich examples from you, and let's continue that by thinking of some real world examples in your learning environments. So as we go, you can think about age groups that you typically work with, and you might even picture a specific child to help bring this example to life. And don't worry about writing anything down or taking notes because there's a lot of ideas here. If you want to take notes, great, but we can share these with you after. So let's explore some ways to build sound letter connections with children together. And keep the chat going if there's things that remind you of things that you do. Okay. So we heard a lot of talk in the chat about music, and I'm so glad that that came up a lot because music is such a magical way to explore sound where children can make different sounds using different objects. And even if you play an instrument at a very beginner level, you can bring that as well. So the power of this music engages kids in such a meaningful way, and everyone can participate regardless of age, gender, ethnicity, or language. It can reach a really diverse group of kids. And creating sound associations. So when you hear a sound, describe it to the child, like that's the sound of the rain, or the car is honking. So you can link sounds to what is those visual cues. So, hear a dog bark, show a picture of a dog, or look outside to find a dog. And then you can introduce contrasting sounds. So even play pairs of sounds that are similar but different. And this helps kids tune their ears to notice small differences in sounds. And you could do sound-based activities like guess the sound where kids can listen and guess what they hear. That's a really fun way to build listening skills and then connect those sounds to meaning. Like, what is everyone's guess of what this sound is, and play it on a speaker. Okay. And then, of course, we heard a lot of folks talk about simple songs and rhymes, some of their favorite songs like Old MacDonald, Willoughby Wallaby Woo. Those familiar songs highlight that it helps kids tune into the sounds in words naturally. And then we emphasize the sounds of different letters. So bring in toys or letter cards during play to introduce these sounds, like easy ones to begin, like M for mom or D for dog, and these are easier for children to recognize. And lastly, an alphabet song that introduces the name of the letter and its corresponding sound, like O is for octopus. And I'm sure you already have some of these songs already, but even singing them every day and getting kids used to it is a really good thing. Okay, so we've just had an avalanche of ideas here, and let's apply them to your, like, a specific scenario. So you can add your ideas in the chat. I want to keep this chat going because I'm loving it. It's like, fireworks. I'm very into it. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry, Carmen. I think only we can see the chat, which feels very selfish of me, but I'll try to read out some of the things that we hear. So the scenario: you are an early years educator working with a child named Sam, and Sam is new to your center and currently an infant, like around 12 months. Over the next few years, Sam will grow into a toddler, obviously, and then a preschool, pre-K learner in your program. And let's focus on building sounds and letters with Sam, but let's think about it as he gets older. So where am I? Oh yeah. So as an infant, can I hear some of the ways that we're going to support Sam if he's 12 months old? More of singing rhymes. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of books too. Yes, for infant. Yeah. Mimicking sounds. Yeah, babies make a lot of sounds. And so even just mimicking them, describing everything they're doing. I love it. Talking to him, singing and reading, babble. Yeah, this is great. You folks are really grasping this. Lots of communication. Bubbles. Yeah, I think, and motherese. Yep, love a little bit of motherese. Yeah, so really, really trying to surround Sam with words all the time, and just describing what's happening. What about when Sam gets a little older? What are we gonna do when he is like 1.5, 2, 2.5? What are we doing with him then? Yeah, giving objects labels. Perfect. Introducing print. That's great. Book the pictures. Start scribbling. I love that. Letter pictures. I spy. Scribbling. Yeah. I mean, Carmen brings up a good point. Much of the same. Yeah, we just keep the more words, the better. Yeah, the letters of his name. S-A-M. Yep. Yes, this is great. Yeah, again, I feel like we're really, really having I see a really diverse, like, bunch of suggestions here. Oh, a letter of the week. I love that. That's great. Okay, so what about when Sam gets a little older? If Sam is 3.5, 4, what are we doing with him? Painting, letter tracing, reading. Yeah, I'm loving that reading is coming up a lot. That's great. Oh, Rachel brings up a really good one, expanding on language. So instead of using mad, you say angry, frustrated, like lots of different words so that he can hear them. This is great. Yeah, letter recognition. I love it. Oh, yeah. Asking Sam more open-ended questions about family, about what he likes to do, about getting him to reflect on his day. Yeah, this is great. Nice. Yes, amazing. Thank you, everybody. I feel like you've described Sam. I almost know him now. This is great. Okay. So I'll pass things over to Liz now, who will guide us through the second part of today's webinar, and she'll get into what we're going to talk about.
Thanks, Zoe. So now that children are tuning into the sounds of words, we're going to support them by putting those sounds into full words as well as really full sentences. So one simple but powerful way to support children's language development during play is through something called toy talk. So this idea comes from Dr. Pamela Hadley, and it's all about talking to children about the toys or objects that they're playing with. But what does toy talk involve? So first we want to use the toy's name in a sentence. So starting the sentence by naming the toy that the child is playing with. And then we want to talk about the toy. So what the toy is doing, what it looks like, or what it's made out of. And you might be thinking, why does this matter so much? Well, it's important because when children hear full sentences like this, they're being exposed to a wider variety of sentence patterns, and they're also going to be exposed to new vocabulary. And all of that builds stronger language skills over time. So instead of saying something like, look at that, you might say, the car is moving fast. So in that sentence, you're naming the toy, in this case, the car, and then you're describing what the toy is doing and it's moving fast. So it's a really simple strategy and it fits so easily into everyday play, but it makes a really, really big difference. So how does this look like? Again, the idea here is to build on what the child is already doing, what they're already playing with, and making that really small intentional shift in the way we're talking about it. So again, first we want to use the name of the toy instead of the pronouns it's or that. So instead of saying he is swimming, try the dinosaur is swimming in the water. And again, talking about that, what the toy is doing. So instead of saying, I am pushing the truck, you can say, the truck is rolling over the hill. So when adults use phrases like that's a or it's a, children might not clearly separate and understand those words. And over time, they can kind of blend together for really young ears, and it makes it harder for them to learn how sentences actually work. So while, again, these seem like really small changes, it makes such a big difference. You're helping children hear really full, proper grammatical sentences with clear subjects. And by naming the toy too, you're also exposing them to new vocabulary. And what's also really important and powerful and just fun about Toy Talk is that it doesn't have to be limited to traditional playtime. You can use that strategy throughout your everyday routines, even in moments where it might not seem like an obvious learning opportunity. So think about times like snack time, diaper changes, or even when you're getting dressed to go outside. So we have a few different examples here of what that might sound like. So for meal times, you can describe how food tastes, how food looks, or even how it feels. So you could say something like, your rice is sticky, or that cereal looks yummy. During wash up time, you can talk about the water, the soap, and the actions of hand washing. So you could say something like, the soap is bubbly, or your hands are getting clean and shiny. For cooking, you might be in the actual kitchen preparing food or pretending in the play area, but you can just still talk about what's happening. So the spoon is mixing the pancake batter, or you are chopping the carrots. And finally, for getting dressed, you can talk about the clothing as you help them get ready to go outside. I'm sure that's happening a lot now with snow pants, boots, hats. But you could say something like, your red jacket has a big zipper, or let's put on your boots so your feet stay dry. So now we're going to watch a short video featuring a baby exploring a few different toys in their environment. But before we dive in, I just want to quickly set that scene for you. So you'll see an adult interacting with a young child, and there's several different toys and objects in the space, but I just want to highlight a few specific ones that the child engages with the most. So it's a red ball, a blue ball, a wooden spatula, and a wooden spoon. So as you watch the video, please pay attention to how the child uses or even interacts with these objects. So afterwards, we're going to use these toys as a starting point for questions and discussions.
You get easily distracted, don't you? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Olivia. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so it's a pretty long video, so we're just going to stop it right there. And now we're going to ask everyone again to reflect together and put their answers into the Q&A box. I know we can see them, but I'll read out the responses. So our first question we have is, what did you like about what the adult in the video was doing? So what strengths did you notice during that interaction? So she was using her manners. Yeah, the video had very little volume, if I'm being honest. The adult in the video, for those I couldn't hear, could only said, thank you, Olivia, and then gave the ball back. So we liked that she was observing a lot. She was really attentive. She was saying thank you, smiling, and doing eye contact together. We liked that the play was child-led. We liked that she was letting the infant explore the toys. She acknowledged and she sat directly in front of the child, maintaining that eye contact, getting down to her level. They were playing together. So it's interesting. Some of our folks are saying that they weren't interacting and some saying that they were interacting. Interesting how we all interpret the same event differently. But we noticed that she was really observing what she was doing. There was a reciprocal relationship together. So she wasn't really interrupting the child's play, but they were praising the actions together. So this is great. She was being patient. Yeah, so we have an observe and return process by saying thank you. All right, so these are great. I think we all really liked the same things about the video. However, what opportunities were there in the video to use toy talk? Because I think there were some. So again, so put your responses into the Q&A box and I'll read some aloud. So we could have talked about the colors of the balls, the sounds that the spoons made when they hit them together, saying the ball is red, color identifying the shape of the round ball, There were so many, especially the sounds of the spoons. Maybe she could have used a little more words singing about the color. So if someone said that, although she said thank you, she could have been a little more descriptive by saying thank you for the red ball. Toy names that can be used. Maybe we want to talk about the bouncing, naming the object, describing what the infant was doing, so naming the actions. So you are banging the balls together. You have a red ball and a blue ball. Do you hear the sound when it bangs together? Those are things they could have talked about. Even the texture of the ball, because she liked to eat them and put them in her mouth, which all infants and young children do at that age. So maybe, oh, is the bread ball smooth when you put it in your mouth? Thank you for sharing the red ball. Yes, shape, sounds. Where did it go? What does it taste like? Yes, always asking about taste, enhancing the part and play. So there was more opportunities maybe. Yeah, the sound, the shapes, the colors. I think we're all really on the same page here. Um, that's great. I love that. Talking about the sounds. Yeah, this is perfect, what it feels like. So thank you so much for sharing, everyone. It's really so nice to see how we're all aligned on the different opportunities that we can use Toy Talk together, and how you can take that into your practice in your learning environments. So, but as we wrap up this evening's workshop, I just want to leave everyone with some key messages. So first and foremost, we know that early literacy experiences are essential for children's development. These early moments of engagement with books and language really lay that foundation for lifelong learning and success. And the skills children develop in their early years have a profound impact on their future, school, academic, and personal achievements. Second, there's a wealth of research out there that tells us exactly on how we can best teach children how to read. So we know what works, and we have evidence-based strategies on how that we can implement into our learning environments to support every child's literacy journey. Third is play is one of the richest opportunities for building foundational literacy skills. You can guide the children's play and just really help them develop these skills. And finally, building sound and letter awareness and using strategies like Toy Talk are really simple, powerful ways to build those skills. And these strategies don't require extra materials or special activities, and they can be woven into your existing routines to spark meaningful conversations that boost language and comprehension skills in really fun, engaging, child-led ways. So now that we've explored our new strategies, we're going to come back to those earlier questions that Zoe asked at the beginning of the session, but this time we have fresh eyes. So again, you can think quietly or you can share them in the Q&A if you'd like, and I'll read them out loud for everyone. So for our first question, what are some playful ways you can introduce sounds and letters in your daily routines? Uh, so a lot of people are saying singing songs, and someone asked if there's a difference between maybe recorded music or live music. I would say no, as long as you're kind of talking about the music to the child, I think, and bring connecting it to everything's in their environment maybe. So if you're relying on a recording of Old MacDonald, but you have the toys around them, you can bring the toys to the front and show them what the objects are. So the cow, the pig, etc. Games, songs and books, flashcards, singing nursery rhymes, a letter hunt in the sandbox, peekaboo games. These are great. Now, our second question is, how might you use Toy Talk strategies to encourage children to use fuller sentences? Um, so someone asked about bilingual children who are stronger in their first language. Any tips on how to support them? I guess it kind of depends what you mean. Always, like if they mix up their grammar or anything, you don't really want to correct them. Instead, you can just reframe what they said. So if they said something like, I goed to the park, you could say, yes, you went to the park. So just instead of overtly correcting them, just kind of reframe what they said. Maybe they have a word in their home language. Instead of saying, that's not that word, you could say, yes, maybe it's, for instance, I'm not sure what language is, but like, let's say there's a dog, and they say that's a chien, you just say, yes, that's a dog. Chien is a dog. Or you can ask the family maybe if there's like certain words in their home language that would be helpful for you to know to connect with the child in the center or in your learning environment. That might be helpful. In regards to this reflection question, people are saying allow the child to lead the conversation in play, so meeting children where they're at, dramatic play and story time, being a role model by speaking in correct grammar and sentences. Yeah, and it's really hard. When we talk, we tend to be really casual, but that's also why reading books is so important. And we have a workshop about that as well. We want to say, oh, this one's really important too, giving children time to respond and encouraging them to expand their answers. Of course, they're doing a lot of work in their little brains. So, and giving them time to answer the question or whatever sentence you post is really, really important. Using descriptive language, sounds, actions, this is wonderful. And finally, our last question that we have for everyone here is, what's one small change you can try to build stronger language and early literacy skills in your environment? So maybe you want to describe the color and texture of the toys. Oh, I think that was with the previous one, sorry.
While we're waiting for some responses, Liz, there was a question here from Lucia asking if I can read it to you, if that's okay. That they work with young parents under 24, and they often struggle with fostering parent and child interactions within our program attendance and participation. Do you have anything specifically for this demographic?
2-year-olds are really tricky. I think everyone here probably knows that. I think just trying to
Oh,
focus.
I think she meant the parents are under 24. They're
Oh, the
so like
pair.
young parents.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. With young parents, I think there it would just be, it would also be meeting the families where they're at. So what does the family feel most comfortable doing? I think what we really want to highlight is the strengths of the family. So maybe they don't have the capacity to be reading books at bedtime every night, but you can suggest that to them. I think what's really important there is surrounding their child with words and trying to ensure that the family's having fun in whatever early literacy activity that they're doing together. So encouraging the caregivers to talk about what they're going to be doing that day. If they have a really young child, even during diaper changes, saying, okay, now we're going to go to the park or we have this appointment together. Narrating their day is really helpful, and it's really hard, but yeah, just really encouraging talk, read, sing, sharing stories, and just trying to make it really fun, keeping that strengths-based approach. And what's really important too is them seeing you interact with their child. So if you are modeling that, they'll be more inclined to do it, because that's also what makes you really powerful as well. You can act as an educator, not just to the child, but also to their caregivers too. Maybe they were parented in a different way. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Um, Someone says baby talk beneficial? Yeah, it can be for sure. Adults tend to naturally do things with their voice when they're talking to infants. The rise and fall of speech, repeating the words we want them to know, pairing new words with an infant's name. All these things we do really naturally to highlight language for infants. Um, Hopefully that was helpful, everyone. But someone says one small change is to practice what they've learned today. So that would be awesome. So just think about what feels really exciting for you all, what feels doable, and even really small changes in how we talk with children can have that really big impact on their language and literacy growth. So we just have a short survey here that will drop in the chat, and it'll only take about 3 to 5 minutes. There's also a QR code on the slide, but I just really want to say thank you to Robin and Suzanne for allowing us to be here this evening, and thank you to everyone in the audience for your amazing participation and the incredible work that you do every day to support children's language and literacy development. Your dedication really makes such a big difference in all the lives of the children that you work with.
Well, thanks so much, Liz and Zoe. That was amazing. I got a lot of takeaways from it. And I've even seen the webinar before, and I was still very excited. It's just so inspiring to hear from you guys the things that we can do each and every day that can improve the practice. You know, it doesn't always have to take a lot of in-depth research and lots of studying. It could just be things that we're picking up right now that we're inspired by. And I think you guys have been very inspiring about that. A few little things I picked up on was narrating your day. I used to do that a lot with my son when he was young, and people thought I was a little bit crazy. I'd be walking down the street talking about everything I'm seeing and doing, but it's that kind of thing that brings language to life for children for sure. And I love the pause and ponder at the end. That's always so nice, so people can sit for a minute, think about it, and think how they can apply it to their practice the next day. So I wanted to remind you that I've seen a question, or someone had a comment about the certificates, and yes, everyone will receive a certificate who's attended at least 45 minutes or the majority of the webinar, and it will be coming out automatically after the webinar. So give it like a day or so for the technology to catch up with us. What was the other thing? There'll be follow-up email. As they mentioned, we can send some more information to you that way as well. And Suzanne, was there anything else I forgot? Did I mention
No,
anything?
I think you've got it, Robin.
Okay, because I didn't have my piece of paper beside me, so I was feeling a little lost, but thank you for that. And again, thank you, Liz and Zoe. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to the next webinar we do with you, and we'll be sure to let everybody know via our regular channels through our social media, as well as our e-blast, about the next opportunity to do a webinar with the Canadian Children's Literacy Foundation. So I hope everyone has a good evening. Oh,
and
yep.
Don't forget to keep the conversation going. Head over to our Facebook page. There is a link in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding. I actually put a little comment there myself, so you guys will have to go and check it out. I won't tell you what I said. So hopefully you'll go and see that this evening as well. And I hope to see you all again very soon for our next webinar. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.